questions?
I already gone live. Most times, we concentrate only on government officials, educated Liberians, the rich and powerful. Join the Liberian View with conversation with our Liberian marketing mamas, who are the largest food supply chain leaders of our country, Liberia, and are making our country stronger and healthier again. Together, we can form a network of support to build upon and not to reinvent the wheel. As these women share their stories and experiences, their knowledge, and with such, we have hope for a stronger Liberia with one story at a time. Joining us on Sunday, April 14 on StreamYard at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time and 8:30 p.m. GMT as we explore key principles for a healthy and striving nation Liberia are. Our first guest is Madam K. Sulonki Meli, who unknowingly or knowingly has developed her own microfinancing system. And this really highlights her entrepreneurial spirit, if I may say. Our second guest is Madam Kebe H. Bampala, commonly called KHB, and is known as the Queen Mother of the system called Sell and Pay Petty Women Traders. They call it SEPE. She ranks high among the first generation of Sell and Pay Petty Women Traders to have achieved and established her own cross-border food supply chain stores, and it's called SEPE in Liberia. Our last and final guest is Madam Kebe K. Bien, and she is commonly called Mama Kebe for her goodwill. She is currently serving as the most powerful District Number 3 cheerleader. Let's learn how we can work together to build a nation that works for everyone. This Sunday's discussion will focus on how these marketing women are working together for a solution, how they are serving as helping hands to other marketing women, making their voices heard despite the challenges facing our country to build a better and brighter future for the next generation, and many more. I am Lucy Wilson Kier, founder and CEO of the Liberian View, inviting you. Do not miss these real stories and first-hand discussions with our own Liberian marketing women on how they hustle, share the knowledge of trade, care for their families, and together they strive to build a better and healthy Liberia. To watch previous discussions such as Liberians at home and abroad working together for a brighter future, or the foundational principles for a healthy system in Liberia, follow the Liberian View at www.facebook.com/the Liberian View or www.youtube.com/the Liberian View. Again, please join us this Sunday, April 14, on StreamYard at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time and 8:30 p.m. GMT. Please join us and share. We thank you. Good evening to all, and thanks for joining those who are still going to be joining us. We hope that others will join us and also use our chat to ask some questions, and then please help us to share. And if you want to join us as stated on the promo, you can please join us at www.facebook.com/the Liberian View or at www.youtube.com/the Liberian View. Today, our discuss should have been focused on our own Liberian marketing women, demonstrating individual and collective way in which they are hustling and how they use their trading knowledge, their individual stories to include care for their families, lending helping hands to other marketing women who they help to either start small and at the same time growing bigger when it comes to trading in Liberia, and how together these wonderful women are striving to feed Liberia for a better and healthier Liberia. Most times, on our social medias, we concentrate only on government officials, educated Liberians, the rich and the powerful, and forget about those we call the uneducated Liberian marketing women, who, from time immemorial, are responsible for the food supply, even during the war and during the COVID-19 to include others. Today, we should have had, if not for some technical difficulties, we should have had Madam Mama K. Kemeni, who knowingly or unknowingly have developed her own microfinancing system. That is, she called it SEPE. In Liberia, they call it SEPE, but it's a system called Sell and Pay. And this really, really highlights her entrepreneurial spirit, if I may say. She is one of the marketing women who started the Sell and Pay system in Liberia, and she is here today. She should have been here today, if not for some technical difficulties, to really explain her story. The second marketing woman we should have been speaking to should have been Madam Kebe H. Bang Pali. She's commonly called she's commonly called KHB, and she's one of the queen mother of the Sell and Pay petty women traders in Liberia. She really, really ranks high among the generation of Sell and Pay petty women traders to have established our own cross-border food supply chain from Ivory Coast and from Guinea to Liberia. These women, they are doing wonderful, wonderful work to keep Liberia healthy and safe. Our other guest, the third guest, also should have been Madame Kebe K. Bien. She's commonly called Ma Kebe for her goodwill, and she's one of the most powerful political mobilizer in District Number 3, and she's a cheerleading, District Number 3 cheerleading. So these are the women that should have come on this show today to really, really explain their stories. But for some reason, especially as we all are aware, the system in Liberia, they weren't able to show up. And we are hoping that it will be resolved so that on the, I think, we're hoping that on April 21st, which is next week, Sunday, they will be able to share the story. Because if we have to build a healthy system and also looking at the fundamental principles for a healthy system in Liberia, we should start with our marketing women and other Liberians who, one way or the other, are not considered, but they keep the chain of the economy in Liberia moving. Most of the discussion should have been on helping others, in the market. What do they call these people, and how do they help others in the market? And also, can they tell us more about how their system works? How did it start? Because sometimes we have some scientific explanation, but these individuals have kept their market, lending to others, and while building themselves together collectively to build a healthy Liberia. They start small by lending money, lending goods to one another, and once you pay for that goods, you take the profit and reinvest your profit. They also wanted to share their experiences, how they started, their stories, their challenges that they've been facing, and how they travel from West Africa region, and how they cross borders, and how they've made differences when it comes to that. It's just a little bit unfortunate that I think that there's a lot of technical issues in Liberia, and we can't have them today. But we're hoping that we're really looking forward to hearing their stories, asking some questions. We're hoping that you'll be able to stay ask your question, because the hope is that we will have them on the 21st, and your questions will be taken into consideration, and we'll be able to speak to those questions. So I will turn it over to my colleague, Dr. Lloyd, to just maybe chime in before we can at least look at some of the questions and share these questions with you. And maybe if you can go to our chat. If you are on Facebook or YouTube, you can go to the chat and ask us some questions, and we are hoping that we'll be able to answer those questions. Reverend Lloyd, you can share some of at least a little bit on this particular discussion today, as we stay in communication with Mr. Augustine Akwe in Liberia, hoping that the situation will be resolved before we close this particular episode for today.
Yeah, Madam Chair, thank you. And also I just pray that this incident situation in Liberia will improve with the communication system, so that we will be able to fluently be able to have these discussions. But given what Madam Chair just stated, these individuals that we had earmarked to be on this platform today are individuals that are working very assiduously in Liberia and helping to build the economic system in Liberia when it comes to basically making sure that the availability of food is constantly in the marketplace, and where our buyers and sellers can interact now on the very fair level. And these individuals are part of the foundation of the economic system and trading in Liberia. It has been a part of the traditional economic system in Liberia over the years, but they are basically struggling to be able to strive. And one of the discussions that we will be having when we have the opportunity to speak with them is to see what are some of the problems they have been encountering, what are some suggestions that they may have to improve and also to be incentivized to be able to operate on a higher level. So therefore, also so that we would be able to chime in and give suggestions also, and make sensible recommendation to the governing authorities in Liberia to be able to see how they can provide incentives and provisions and opportunities for these individuals to grow. They have their own systems that they are working with, the credit system and so forth, which we will discuss, which are very amazing systems that we have. And many of us have not been aware of this important role that these individuals are playing. We only pay attention to top government officials and the people who are on the news constantly. But there are people in the trenches that are actually responsible for the food supply in the marketplace and so forth. And they go through various traditional means to be able to get these goods to the market. And so we'll be discussing that further and to see the implications of food supply, the organic supply of food in Liberia that have been provided, because most of them provide organic food, and the canned goods are imported. So these things we'll look at and see how we can put together suggestions to see how we can make sure that these individuals are given opportunity to manufacturing, to give opportunity to food processing mechanisms and transportation mechanisms, food preservation mechanisms, and market availability mechanism. to see how we can get, move forward and to an advanced level in our in the business sector of Liberia. So I will rest there. Just wanted to come with my introductory remarks and give an overview of what we will be looking at in this show and the subsequent shows. And we're looking forward to our audience to be able to give us suggestions, questions that will be able to formulate a constructive a constructive knowledge uh, an idea of how we can move forward. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Reverend Lloyd. I know that if you've been following the Liberian View, we've been talking about one of our topics was about how Liberians abroad and in within Liberia can work together for better and brighter Liberia. So, for these marketing women, we've really not really considered them. Sometimes they work so hard towards their voices being to be heard by the government. Sometimes they feel like their concerns don't reach the government. And so what can we do in the diaspora to tap into that? How can we support them? And in most times, they really, really, if you look at the system they built, they are helping one another to grow and not, to grow from small to a greater length. But though they are working together, but how can we in the diaspora help them instead of reinventing the wheel? Look at their situation and how can we help them? Um, and also, if you look at how can they also, tell their stories to impact, especially other businesses in Liberia? How can the government, fix, reconstruct our roads? Because, these women, they travel from county to county to bring their goods to sell. And I think there's a very beautiful story of one of them, especially the one that went to China to get her goods. These women are crossing borders because you know what? They have to keep their home going. They have to keep their family well by feeding them, the right way and timely. And not only their families, but they're also looking at feeding Liberia. How can we help them? We also look at trust because I think on the Liberian View, now that I think we did discuss some of the barriers, the challenges between the diaspora Liberians and the Liberians at home. And one of the challenges that we really had was trust. But you can see at that level, the marketing women, there's something that they've developed, which is trust, and they feel responsible for one another. So how that is so important when it comes to trust. So how can the diaspora use these experiences, these beautiful stories to know that despite the challenges, the challenge of trust, because sometimes when you send goods to your family or even your friends to sell, sometimes you don't even hear from them. And then it becomes like a barrier. They stop talking to you. But these women, despite those challenges, they made sure to help one another and so that everyone can grow together. How can we use these stories to be able to rethink that we can work together despite those challenges? And indeed, there are some trustworthy individuals stay in Liberia. Uh, so that will be a story, especially when it's told next week, that we all can see and know that we can only build Liberia together. If you see marketing women, some of them never been to school, taking their businesses, giving it to their friends so that their friends can develop their own business. How can we do that from the diaspora? So those are some of the things we're hoping that it will be explained and they will share their story, which of course they were willing to, but due to some technical issues in Liberia, we will not be able to hear their stories. But we are hoping that by next week, the issues will be resolved. And one of the things Liberian View will be actually working on to fundraise during the conference that we're working on to have is to make sure to raise funds to have and support a center in Liberia so that we can have generators where we'll be able to interview people without any challenge or anything when it comes to current. Those are some of the things we're working on. So we hope that during our fundraising time, we are hoping that we all will work together and make sure that we have generators and maybe come up with a proposal when it comes to LEC, what is going on, Also, when it comes to transportation, these are areas that our people need help. When it comes to healthcare, access to good road is not there, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to meet the president and those responsible so that we can so that we can at least one way or the other look at the road infrastructure in Liberia, because without good roads, these marketing women won't be able to transport their goods and services to have some good returns that will motivate them to continue doing the great work, because we believe strongly that all of the healthy Liberia, the foundational principles for healthy system in Liberia does not only lie on the government. We also have to, we as Liberians in the diaspora, even within Liberia, we need to make sure to work towards that, to work and give a helping hand to the administration. And either when it comes to training, when it comes to looking at livelihood in Liberia and see where they are and where can we tap in instead of reinventing the wheel. So those are some of the things we're hoping and praying to discuss further next week on the 21st Sunday, and at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time and 8:30 p.m. GMT. And we're hoping that you'll be able to join us. We'll also be glad if you can drop your question in the chat. We have a chat. Also, you can go on Facebook and also ask your question. We'll be able to poll those questions on YouTube so that you can have so the discussion can really be aligned to what you are thinking, and also you have some input and how much we all can motivate these strong, empowered Liberian women who one way or the other have been forgotten, but they are still striving to feed our country. Without food, nothing can be done. So that's where we are. And Ray Lloyd, do you have any last words so that we can call it a day?
Yeah, I just want to quickly add here to what you were saying, and also just want to commend the work Liberian View is doing so far, especially with what you mentioned about providing a source of power to be able to have these individuals who do not have access to maybe internet, to be able to have a voice, because these individuals that we are um, interviewing, individuals who do not have access to internet and so forth like that. So we have to converge them into a specific locality to be able to do the broadcast. And so those are things we are working on to make sure that we reach out to the voiceless, or those who do not have the opportunity uh, to vocalize what they are doing, and also to express their concerns and provide their suggestions for the growth of that sector of the economy. So we are working towards making sure that they have uh, the provisions they need to be able to voice their opinions, and also to be able to inform the world at large and those in the diaspora about what they are doing, and especially what they need to be able to grow. But one amazing thing I want to say briefly is that the system that they have within the Marketing Association in Liberia, these individuals are creating systems to strive. There's a common saying that goes like this: necessity is the mother of invention. And so therefore, what they have been doing is that they have a helping hand system where they credit out goods to other petty traders. They go out there, sell the goods, make their profit, and come and pay the folks back. And so in that way, they're creating a source of income for the federal marketers, or those who have some aspiration to get into business. So they start from small and then grow to big. But since the banking system cannot afford them the capital they need to start this business, or the seed money they need for businesses, they created a system to help themselves. So those who have been in business for a long time, or who have the ability and the stock of goods, what they would do is that they would lend these other petty traders goods, give them goods to go out and sell, and make the profit, and bring the principal back with a little bit of interest. And so they have committed and creating their own credit system, all right, and untraditional credit system in order for them to strive. Because while I was in Liberia, I was wondering how all these petty traders were all in the street and everybody selling and doing everything else. And now I have gotten to understand how most of them receive their goods, and they don't. Most of them don't have the ability to travel overseas or to neighboring countries to buy goods. So those who have the ability to do it will go bring the goods and lend it out to these sellers. They will go out, sell, and make profit. So in that way, they have their own businesses running on a credit system. So this is very amazing. That's something that we all need to learn about and know about, and see how we on the professional level can devise strategies and come up with sound economic systems um, and economic design to be able to see how best we can be able to provide training, and so that they can be able to build on that system. It's a traditional system that will work because it fit within that economic setting and environment. So if they're working for them, what can we do is to make sure that we are providing incentive they need to keep the wheel of that economic system flowing or turning. So it's important that we do this, and then we can also be able to advise the electoral officials, elections, those who were elected into office, and those who were in the governing authority, those who hold the gap of authority in Liberia. They said, look, let's look at this system. Let's evaluate the system they have. How can we, be able to improve the system that it will work not only for those who are doing the petty trade or those who are working within the market economy, but for especially for tax revenue for the country as a whole, and also be able to improve the system. Also, the last thing is that the previous administration talked about the farm to market road in creating a pathway for goods from the farm to get into the market. We'll be looking at these conditions in Liberia, how to improve that. And also, like I said earlier, we'll look at how some of these raw materials can be transformed into finished goods, and creating a market in the West African West African environment, so that Liberian marketeers can be interjected into the West African economic system, so that in that way they can expand um, the customer base, not only dealing with customers in Liberia, because Liberia just have a certain amount of people, few million people, and not everybody have purchasing power. So therefore, if you expand the consumer base, that means that those who have purchasing power in other regions will be able to tap into the finished goods that are produced in Liberia, or some of the goods that are in Liberia that are low supply in other markets. In the West African markets, we can supply those markets, and the women in Liberia, the market women in Liberia, and those who work within Liberian market system, they have the capability to provide these goods and services to other markets in the West African region. So these are things to be looking at, be very industrious and be very expeditious in what we are doing, so that we will be able to adequately grow the economic potential of those who are the business people in Liberia, and so that we have Liberians who can become millionaires in no time, once they have a very genuine and a product that consumers will have a high demand for. So these are things we want to look at, because we really want to put into practice and design systems in Liberia that will improve and uplift the living standard of the Liberian people, improve their living standard, the economic well-being, so that all those various benefits of life are determinants of health and wellness. All right, and so we will look at these things and be able to come up with a sensible suggestion to the governing authority, and so that they can be able to use these knowledge and understanding and systems that we would suggest for the betterment of the Liberian people. Thank you very much, Madam Kier, for this
Okay.
opportunity.
Thank you so much. I mean, we've been talking about economics, we've been talking about accounting. Now we have our own mostly uneducated market women who are in the process, and they are really doing this so well. They are helping other marketing women to acquire goods and services to start their own business. And it comes with a lot of different challenges. But the most important thing is this also foster an understanding of informal financing system. What a great way for people who have not been to school to think at that level. So it's only left for us now in the diaspora, even those in Liberia, because we have a lot of strong, educated individuals in Liberia, to look at this system, study it well, and see how we can bring it at a macro level to be able to fund them and help them. So we'll be looking forward to your questions, how best we can help these ladies improve their business. Because I even learned that ECOWAS have also, based on this regional kind of trading, and the fact that Liberian women were so forceful in crossing borders to sell. I think ECOWAS has now extended itself. We have more facts on that on the 21st, have extended itself to be called ECOWAS for the people, whereas when you're trading from Guinea to Liberia or from any Ghana to Liberia for these marketeers, there's no charge. I don't know how true that is, but we will also do more research to provide you some of these facts when it comes to the next episode on April 21st at the same time at 4:30 p.m. Eastern time and 8:30 p.m. GMT. So we're hoping that you'll be able to join us. Let me just check the chat quickly to see whether we had some questions, and if there's some questions, we will get back to you on or before Sunday to answer some of your questions. And we're hoping that the system that is in Liberia, the technical emergency issue that was there, we hope that it's being resolved so that by next week we'll be able to come and bring you these ladies that will share the story. And I know that it will impact even Liberians, educated Liberians in the diaspora. And then we can see how we all can come together to assist and look at their system they build and tap into it instead of reinventing the wheel. There are systems in Liberia. It might not be to the level of the Western world, but these women are working hard, and I'm hoping we'll be able to support them. Again, this is the Liberian View. Our hope was to bring the Liberian marketing women to share the stories, because we know that we believe strongly that Liberia will be built by one story at a time. So we say thank you and see you on the 21st of April. That is next week, Sunday at 4:30 p.m. in Eastern Time and 8:30 p.m. GMT. Thank you. Most times, we concentrate only on government officials, educated Liberians, the rich and powerful. Join the Liberian View with conversation with our Liberian marketing mamas, who are the largest food supply chain leaders of our country, Liberia, and are making our country stronger and healthier again. Together, we can form a network of support to build upon and not to reinvent the wheel. As these women share their stories and experiences, their knowledge, and with such, we have hope for a stronger Liberia with one story at a time. Joining us on Sunday, April 14th on StreamYard at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time and 8:30 p.m. GMT as we explore key principles for a healthy and striving nation Liberia are. Our first guest is Madam K. Sulonki Meli, who unknowingly or knowingly has developed her own microfinancing system. And this really highlights her entrepreneurial spirit, if I may say. Our second guest is Madam Kebe H. Bampala, commonly called KHB, and is known as the coin mother of the system called Sell and Pay petty women traders. They call it SEPE. She ranks high among the first generation of sell and pay petty women traders to have achieved and established her own cross-border food supply chain stores, and it's called SEPE in Liberia. Our last and final guest is Madam Kebe K. Bien, and she is commonly called Mama Kebe for her goodwill. She is currently serving as the most powerful District Number 3 chairlady. Let's learn how we can work together to build a nation that works for everyone. This Sunday's discussion will focus on how these marketing women are working together for a solution, how they are serving as helping hands to other marketing women, making their voices heard despite the challenges facing our country to build a better and brighter future for the next generation, and many more. I am Lucy Wilson Pierre, founder and CEO of the Liberian View, inviting you. Do not miss these real stories and first-hand discussion with our own Liberian marketing women on how they hustle, share the knowledge of trade, care for their families, and together they strive to build a better and healthy Liberia. To watch previous discussions such as Liberians at home and abroad working together for a brighter future, or the foundational principles for a healthy system in Liberia, follow the Liberian View at www.facebook.com/the Liberian View or www.youtube.com/the Liberian View. Again, please join us this Sunday, April 14, on StreamYard at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time and 8:30 p.m. GMT. Please join us and share. We thank you.